Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. I honestly have to say, I miss working with unions. I've been in a union, I've managed union members, and people have such a negative impression of them. But I think a little more collective bargaining would really enhance everybody's lives. First of all, the union rule book, the Bible, as you might call it. When the union representatives and the owners' representatives sit down, they come up with every situation they could think of and a proper procedure to follow. I love that. And usually these things are not big. Like bigger than a religious pamphlet, not as big as the Bible itself. And it'll have things like you'll be called the day before to be informed of your start time. Um, in the event of one of my favorite ones was management has the right to dictate your assignment. Very good rule. Somebody thought up that one because the business we were in, the workers we were bringing in, stuff changed from moment to moment. And as it turns out, senior management can give one directive to me and one directive to my previous management person, and they don't tell us who's superior. So I'm following what I've been told, they're following what they've been told. But I know I'm going to be there when the vice president is coming in and asking the questions. Thanks to the union agreement, I can make sure the employees are treated fairly. And most importantly, that little Bible opens up discussion. Now, some people are going to complain about literally anything under the sun, and I accept that. Other people bring up good objections. One of my favorite employees basically didn't want to do the same thing twice. That's understandable. You get into a bit of a rut, you get boring. Moving around helps your creativity. Most of the time, I could accommodate that person, but nowhere in the union agreement said I had to. That was me being me, not me obeying union rule. I could have very easily pointed to that union section and said, management assigns the work. But you try not to bring up that Bible unless you absolutely have to. And for some reason, people think that's bad. If somebody does come up with a valid objection, then you listen to them. You read the book. Okay, yeah, we can't do that. Okay, sorry. Be polite. This is where so many manager-employee relations fall apart. Not listening. Because you're convinced you're right. They're convinced they are right. Where do you go from there? Especially if there's not a higher authority to appeal to right then, right at that time. The union book will usually tell you what to do or what you can do. Now, in the past, some unions have become corrupt. Yes. But can you look me in the face and honestly say more unions have become corrupt than corporations? No, you can't. I'm not saying all corporations are corrupt. There are good people out there. But the fact is, we had a good system. It was running efficiently, but we managed to sabotage it. Back in the late 80s and 90s, the idea of busting a union came about, where you just simply hold out long enough till they have to sign whatever table scraps you give them. And you know what one of the funny thing is? They did that in private industry. They busted these unions. The government unions stayed intact. They got stronger. So now you have private sector people who are grumbling, saying the union doesn't do anything for me. No, the union is doing what it can and what it agreed to, because unfortunately they all got busted. And in return, the public sector, people are like, oh, look at all the benefits they get. Yes, you could have had them too if you'd had more skilled negotiators. But they went in looking for a negotiation and got into a nuclear war. It just wasn't what they were prepared for at that time. We still haven't got rid of those effects 40 years later. Back when I was a kid, your parents work for the government, you're poor. My dad's middle management at Borg Warner and this, that, the other thing. He gets 6 months a year vacation and, billions of dollars in bonus. It wasn't that. I'm exaggerating. And then after they went through busting all those unions, what happened? Our benefits and quality of life went down, and we started offshoring stuff. See, unions used to be able to say, you're going to manufacture the ashtray in Canada and the rest of the car in the United States. Now unions can't dictate that. They're being dictated to. We'll think about making the ashtray in Canada, but half of it's going to come from the United States. And the rest is going to come from insert random foreign nation here, because it's impossible to keep track of all these agreements that the big three have with anybody. What happened? The Teamsters are still powerful, but even they're knuckling under to these hired guns, these assassins that are coming in to do nothing but break their power. Unions and collective bargaining are really an essential service. It's hard to go into McDonald's and unionize, hard to go into Walmart and unionize, but it has been done. I don't see McDonald's or Walmart going under anytime soon, do you? Look at the sport athletes of the world. The NFLPA, National Football League Players Association. They're called an association. What they really are is a union. Hey, these athletes know their career is only going to be a certain amount of time, so they need to maximize their wealth in that period of time. Why is that a rule for professional athletes and not for the guy who fixes the brakes on your car? Don't you think it would be a good idea for both? Actually, car dealerships are kind of a weird environment on their own. Maybe I should leave them off this list because the technicians are paid piecework. The guy who mops the floors is paid by the hour. The salesman, they are expected to make a certain amount of sales per month, and they're loaned a salary up against that number of sales. So if at the end of the month they don't make that number of sales, they have to make more the next month, or they fall further and further behind in the salary that's, quote, loaned to them, end quote. But sales it's a difficult job. I don't envy anybody who does it, and salespeople will never agree to be unionized because most people in sales are convinced they're going to make their targets no matter what, because they're just simply the best. Everybody I meet loves me. And I'm not going to deny, in that environment, I'm actually pretty good. I just hate it. I don't have the right mentality for the job. I'm capable of it. I just hate it. Heck, I can't even sell you guys on getting to subscribe. But for most of the rank and file, follow the Western civilization, here we are documenting this. 300 years from now when you're listening to this, you've found your treasure trove. But back to unions. We got to figure out ways to establish more of them. Whether you want to bring in the Teamsters, there's plenty of independent unions out there. Big, small, somewhere in between. They're happy to have the members, and they're happy to negotiate contracts. It is fun to negotiate a contract, I'll give you that. I've mostly dealt business to business, but when you negotiate something like that, it is a lot of fun. And from what I've heard, while you're staying at the hotel overnight, an envelope appears outside your door. It depends on whether you like their offer. It might change the way you vote. But that was from a union that clearly did not deserve to be in business. Why can't we bring back the idea of collective bargaining? Because most of you know who don't have a union, If you go into your boss and ask for a raise, oh, it's not in the budget right now. Well, we just turned record profits this quarter. The shareholders are getting whatever. Yeah, but we don't have it in our budget. Oh, can I have a can I have a raise, boss? Oh, I'm sorry. It's we're going through an audit. They have 10,000 reasons not to give you one. Regular raises help with your quality of life. Now that we're going out to the grocery store and paying $5 for a bunch of celery sticks, I was regaling my family today with stories of Taco Bell. Do you know for a while there, way back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, I could get 2 tacos, a drink, and still have change for $1. Now, I don't mind paying the extra if the people behind the counter were getting higher wages, but realistically they're not. They're barely keeping up with the cost of living. And for people like that, it's not a fun job. All those people that say, oh, go, McDonald's is always hiring, go. Well, the reason McDonald's is always hiring is because it's such a crappy place to work. They need to have the extra employees just to be able to cover what they got. That's why they're always hiring. And people are miserable working there and quit at record rates as soon as they can find anything else. So let's get rid of that and the whole, what is that, the avocado toast? Maybe if you're buying your avocado toast. I know nobody of any generation that regularly buys avocado toast. I see people buy an avocado and buy a loaf of bread and put a little bit on their toast, but I don't really see anybody in the needy category going to a local coffee shop or an international coffee shop, whatever type of coffee shop that you prefer. It's not a factor in most people's diet. It's just a way to dunk on people that you have no knowledge of. All because the generation at work in the late 80s and early 90s were the ones that signed away their souls to the devil. And now, the express elevator to hell has come. I remember McDonald's gave you regular wages, or regular wage increases. I was getting a paycheck back then, an actual check. And I think when I started, they were actually giving pay packets with money in an envelope. How come we could do a system like that when everything was in an envelope, but we can't do it in the modern day where we set up a spreadsheet, we click print, and everybody's checks are printed? It should be very easy to monitor what's happening. But the reason we can't, we don't have unions looking after us. We don't have any means to bring the might of the people and the ability to deny your work to bear. Heck, we have right to work legislation states where you're not even allowed to strike. They're that afraid of the people realizing our power. So, whatever your position on unions, you might want to revise it. They did a lot of good for a long time. And now that we're in this dead zone for unions, the swamp, shall we call it, created by billionaires and millionaires for their own benefit and at the expense of the average person. Reconsider unions. We have nothing but benefits to gain out of them. With that, we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Silverlight Show. If you did, please share, because sharing is caring. Don't forget to click the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already. Wherever the notification bar is on your computer or phone or whatever you're using in the 26th century, perhaps your holographic interface. And we hope you have a fantastic day.